Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us tonight on episode 25, season 2 of The Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. Evening, Richie. It's our 50th episode of The Standoff tonight. So I thought we'd do something a little bit different, and we're privileged enough to have Roo Hammer joining us tonight. So I'd like to welcome them on. Hey, Mark and Rob, how are you guys?
Hey, guys.
G'day, Brad and Richie. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, boys.
Yeah, thank you for coming in tonight. I think before we start, just get you guys to introduce yourself to everyone watching and letting us know what you guys do at Roo Hammer.
Off you go, Rob. You can
take the mic, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm based in near Brisbane, Queensland. Mark's from Sydney, and we initially knew each other from a chat group that we were in, a separate Warriors chat group, and one day we just decided to start chatting on the side, which led to us FaceTiming and just talking all things Warriors. We realised we had a similar sort of understanding and love for the team, so we just started doing that on Tuesday night. We talk about the team that came in, and after a few weeks of doing that, we're like, this kind of feels like a podcast. It feels like a couple of blokes talking about footy. I wonder if there's anybody else interested in that. And so it literally just went from there. We had never met in person. And we thought, well, why don't we just try doing this live thing? We had no idea how to do that, so we researched into that. So it went from there, and we started doing a Facebook live show. And it wasn't until February this year that we actually met in person, if you can believe that. So we started in August 2020. Wow. Yeah, so we're a real product of COVID.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of weird. The fact that we went pretty much the whole season last year just talking and hosting a show all about the Warriors and never actually meeting face to face. So this year we've had a couple of opportunities where we can catch up face to face. Still not enough. We'd love to be able to do it every weekend, but it is what it is. It's been a great ride. We're very fortunate that we've had I've been very fortunate the Warriors have been based in New South Wales here in Australia, and I've been able to form a really good relationship with a lot of the guys within the management and the playing staff, and from that we've been able to have a lot of the ex-players and current players on for live chats on the show, which I think is I think we're probably one of the only Warriors-based shows out there that's been able to do that so far. So we're very grateful to the Warriors organisation and everyone involved with them who have enabled us to do that, and from that too we've been able to meet like-minded Warriors guys such as yourselves who do your own show, and we're able to collab and keep in contact, and it's been great. It's a great growth thing for all of us, I think.
That's it. We've always sort of said it's been a show by the fans for the fans, and that's been the best part, getting to meet so many other supporters from all around Australia, New Zealand, all around the world. Actually, that's been fantastic. And as Mark said, it's been like pinch yourself moment. Getting to chat to these players that you grow up idolising. It's been like a fantastic journey. Yeah,
I feel that way sometimes. Watching you guys show or listening to it, let me just say, you guys do a fantastic job, and it's the same for me. Like some of the guys you've had on the show are, people I've grown up, they're my boyhood heroes, and I quite enjoy popping the headphones on when I'm going for a run or a walk, and it can brighten up my day for sure. So keep up the good work there.
We actually carry on like teenage girls when we get a response back from a player that says that they want to come on the show, especially when it's someone like when we got Steve Price or even Stacey Jones. We were carrying on like
quick reply.
I think there was it was a chat group that Brad and I used to be in a while back. And they had a little get together that evening. You remember that, Brad? And Steve Price was there. And I think Brad and I, you should have seen us then. We were the same. I mean, it was sort of like, go ask him for a photo. No, you go ask him for a photo. And
he's such a legend. Such a great
absolutely.
Player.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great stuff that you guys do over there. So yeah, everyone watching from our show, go check out Runehammer. It's always, you guys always kick off straight after our show on a Wednesday, so it's good timing.
Yep.
I don't always get to watch live because of the time difference, and I start early at work, so I usually listen back. But yeah, it's always a real good show. Steve Price went a bit long. That one took a couple of attempts to listen all the way through. But yeah, it's always good stuff. So
Thanks, guys.
yeah, I think
appreciate it.
so tonight we usually go through the rounds and stuff. We're going to continue that on Wednesday. So tonight we're just going to change it up a bit and do a bit of a Q&A with everyone watching and asking questions between ourselves, discussing the Warriors, past, present, future, the NRL in general. And a little bit later on, we've got a video that Richard put together of some of my best moments, which we'll put on there. I saw Christian and Simon both said hello there in the group. So
Hey, fellas.
thanks for joining us, guys.
How's it going, guys?
And
Hey, boys.
yeah, everyone watching, just remember to send through questions, be about Warriors, NRL, us, whatever you feel like, just throw it out there. And we'll Richard likes to sit on the fence a bit, but we'll try to answer questions as best as we can. But I think we may as well kick off and talk about the Warriors game just gone, them defeating the Bulldogs. I usually go on for an hour, so I'll let you guys start. What do you guys think of the game?
I thought it was a solid enough performance. I mean, at the end of the day, the thing that mattered was we got the win. We started off fast start, and it was great to see us throwing the ball around, literally from the second set of the game, and we're looking really good. Especially Josh Curran had a barnstormer. It looked like we could really run away with it, and then in that second half, I felt that we kind of, when we had the opportunities, we weren't icing them like we did at the start of the game. We had the three opportunities, and we put points on the board. Then that started to fall away a bit, and we lacked a little bit of patience in that second half. Having said that, I thought our scramble defense was really good as well to hold the dogs out, and because they threw a fair bit at us. So yeah, look, I was happy enough to get the win.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, there was moments in that game where we just didn't play with enough patience, because there was a couple of, I think we scored the three tries that we did score were like we just really took that opportunity and posted points, and I think we got a little bit ahead of ourselves, maybe thinking that it was going to happen every time, and there was a forced a pushed pass or a loose pass and drop ball. And I think if we just had to play with a little bit more patience, we would have got a lot more points. In saying that, I think for me, probably three of the guys that need to be mentioned are the three unsung heroes of the team at the moment. And Josh Curran was absolutely outstanding. Marcelo Montoya has been a revelation for us on the wing this year. I questioned his when we bought him at the beginning of the year. I couldn't really see where he was going to fit in, but he's just another one of those guys like Curran who has been given an opportunity in first grade and he's grabbed it with both hands. And probably the guy that doesn't get any recognition at all is Sean O'Sullivan. I think Sean O'Sullivan's been playing really solid footy at halfback, especially the past 3 weeks. And, he's a kind of guy, he hasn't played a lot of first grade, and he knows his role is just to fill the gap in that squad in the meantime until, Shawnee arrives next year. But he's been doing a great job. He plays, he's got a nice level head. He plays with a lot of patience. And a couple of games that I did see him play live this year, it's what you can see that he does off camera. He's very vocal, barking orders to his forwards and so forth. And I personally would like to see him maybe given another 1-year contract extension and held on for next year as a bit of a backup, because we do know that Sean and Chanel both are a bit susceptible to picking up injuries and so forth. And O'Sullivan's been there. He knows Brown. He's had a season under Brown. He knows Brown's systems and procedures. He knows Warriors football, and I think it's a better option for the Warriors to pick a Sean O'Sullivan up cheap than go out looking for somebody else and pay overs and then have them have to go through that process of learning all our systems and plays.
Yeah, 100%. I think he will get extended. I think he's one of those players that's safe enough to kind of wait till the end till you offer him something. So I think I've got no doubts he's going to extend, because like you end up paying overs trying to get someone to come over and play second fiddle and be used if injuries happen, which they're not going to want to do. I think he slots in. I think I was on a show last night with Hold the Ball, and I likened him to Mason Lino, where Mason didn't get in there all the time, but you could rely on him when he went out there to do a serviceable job. He's not going to go out and be, do like a superstar job, like a Sean Johnson would, but he's going to go out there and do his role. So, be silly for them not to do it.
Yeah, it was his 2 short balls too that set up those first 2 tries. It was a nice little short ball to Curran for that first try, and again a short ball to Curran, who then picked up Jazz on the inside for our second try. So he's got a nice passing game on him, and he's got some good vision there. So yeah, I like him as a player. But as you said, Brad, he's not that flashy player. He just knows his role. He's going to go out there and do his job.
He's probably never going to be a first choice half, unfortunately, for a lot of clubs at the moment. So as you guys have said, he would be. You said you can probably wait until the end of the season, and he might get another 1-year deal with the club, as you said, that Mason Lino style backup role.
I was going to say, if you want to be technical, he kind of set up the first 3 tries because he set up the Bulldogs with a good one too.
That's right. So, of course, it was his intercept pass. Yeah,
he did. Yes.
We've also been watching over on Inga's League wrap-up page. Unfortunately, I can't bring up those comments, but Nicholas McKercher says we've definitely brought in the professionals and the best in the business, Runehammer. Loving that, Brad. Also, Sayali says, how good is Hectic Montoya bomb defusals has been on point.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, as Mark said, he's really exceeded expectation. I always try to be optimistic with all signings, but I didn't see him getting a lot of game time because I envisioned he would be behind Ken and David on the wings. Yes. So with them not being there at the moment, and Ken's skate not anymore at all, he's really had that chance and he's done really well. A lot better. And it's hard. It was kind of hard to judge him when he was with the Bulldogs because it's not like the Bulldogs are setting up their wingers with a lot of tries.
No.
In their current form.
He did make his debut against us in Dunedin, and he scored a try against us. So
that's some good knowledge there, Rob. Where do you guys see him next year? I'm not too sure where David Fusatua is at. Maybe someone like yourself, Mark, might have a bit more intel. But what happens if he comes back next year? What happens to Montoya then? That becomes interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We did I saw David at the Melbourne game a couple of months back when I was actually allowed outside of my house before we went into this hard lockdown here. Yeah, I remember them well. And he looked like he was in good spirits and still trying to get over this niggly hamstring injury that he's had pretty much for the whole season. We did a live watch yesterday and Dave was kind of in the background there because we had the Warriors beam in from their hub at the Gold Coast. I don't know. On Montoya, what I was getting at it's great to see David still with the group because a lot of people are asking what's going on with Fuss. I see Montoya as I think he's done enough this year to say that wing spot is his and it's his to lose now. But, we've got a lot of young guys coming through. We've got young Viliami Valea that's debuted this year, Ed Cozy that's debuted. We've got Junior Ratuva who's coming back next year. And then you've got the likes of Pompey and Rocco Berry as well, who can both play on a wing. So it's a good abundance of talent to have, and it's young talent too. They're not old guys. And let's not forget Dallin. Dallin's obviously got one wing sewn up, and then it's probably out of these other guys to to put their best foot forward and claim that other wing spot. And you'd have to say at this point in time, Montoya's probably got the front running because he has been so good and he has been so consistent for us this year.
Imagine to think, though, with Sean back at the club next year, if they could reignite that combination from 2018 with Fuss, Fuss in the corner there.
How
like,
good
imagine
is
we
that?
could get back to that, yeah.
Yeah.
23 tries or something, wasn't it? So that's an exciting prospect, yeah.
They're just going to miss that Hiku factor in that element, unfortunately. But
Berry's coming along nicely for me, though. He looks like a really exciting prospect for a centre spot there. If he can stay injury free, he shows all the attributes you want to see.
Yeah,
different body shape. Yeah,
I just really hope that those young centres take on board some of the stuff that Petter has been able to pass on to them. And one of the biggest ones is, putting yourself in a position to set up your outside man. When Pompey first came into first grade, he had a really nice offload, and then it seems to, in the last couple of games that he played, he seemed to put that in his back pocket and was just hell-bent on running himself and not providing his outside man with some good ball. So, and with a guy like Dallin, we've got a guy that's got speed, experience. He'll never die wondering. He runs 100 mile an hour every time he's got the ball, and he's the kind of guy that you need to be feeding the ball to. So, hopefully that kind of that part of Petter's play rubs off on the younger guys coming through.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it before. I think there's a worrying trend for centres at the moment. NRL, not just Warriors, but they're all run first, pass later. They'll pass if they don't think they can get it themselves. But you look at all the top centres everyone talks about, they're all like Katoni Staggs, Stephen Crichton and the likes. They're all known for being try scorers, not guys that distribute and feed the winger. I'm hoping to see that back, because otherwise you got some really talented wingers there that just don't get an opportunity because they're watching their centre just hog the ball. And I like it's a former front rower trying to explain how backs should play, but
this should be good.
And you got to take that team first approach, where if the guy outside you has got like a gap to go, that's who you give it to. Though if I had the ball in my hands, I know I'd take the tackle and opt for an offload afterwards. So what do I know?
Yeah. Well, Nicholas on the Ingers League page says that unlike Roo, he's happy to travel from the south side to the north side of Brisbane River to go watch games live. And he was there for the game at the weekend. And and he reckons that the Warriors were extremely slick and clinical. And it was fantastic to watch at the ground, he said. So it was at their best. So yeah, he liked that one. Also, Sayali, we're talking about passes, but he says Rocco Berry has a nice flick pass, always looking at his flanks for a pass, and why this is where Ewan Aitken lacks, hence why he is a second rower, in his opinion. So, again, thoughts on that?
He's great you guys rower.
Might know. You guys might know a little bit more than that. Rocco Berry comes from a rugby background, doesn't he? And didn't his dad play All Blacks rugby? So, those rugby guys are taught to pass the ball, because that's what that game's all about.
Yeah. His dad was an All Black, but I always put an asterisk on it because I think he played like 2 or 3 games, but they weren't tests. They were like the midweek games. Yeah. Still an accomplishment by any means, but he's grown up in that rugby union background, like so many of these great NRL players from New Zealand have. But yeah, I like him. I am fully backing him to be a starting centre next year, with Hiku moving on. With Aitken, I like him in the second row. But so do I.
It gets him involved in the game. He went a little bit missing a couple of times out in the setters, but in the second row he's forced to be involved, and on that edge there he looks like a threat.
And we're looking at two edge back rows with speed too. When you've got Curran on one side and you've got Aitken on the other,
suits today's game, doesn't it? Suits
Yeah, it
today's
does.
game to a T.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The
Are
I
you
suppose
guys
the question
surprised?
there. Wait, you
I
go,
was going
Matt.
to say, are you guys surprised at how galvanized the squad has become since Roger left? I kind of thought when Roger left, that might be the. I think everyone thought that it might be the cue in the rack. That's it. The season's done. But we've won 3 in a row since Roger's gone. Has that kind of surprised you guys a little bit?
It was his fault all along. Guy bringing us down. No, I think it's the exact same situation we saw last year when Ken and Fuss and all those guys came home. I think having some players leave with Leeson and Roger, I think maybe that was we've got to do this type thing. Obviously, I can't speak. I'm not in the camp, but it just seems to be the same effect. Those guys left last year and the team seemed to get stronger, not because they had left, but kind of because they left, if you know what I mean. Like, it wasn't because they were letting the side down, but I think maybe losing some players from the camp just kind of makes the guys that are there get closer, potentially.
Yeah, I was going to say it kind of reminded me of going back to when Kearney got the axe, and that was sort of a bit of an unknown how we would go afterwards, and after a while all the boys sort of got together and got behind what Peyton was selling, and then we kind of went strength to strength a little bit for a period there. So I mean, it is funny though, isn't it? Because Roger's so often been sold as our best player over the past couple of years, and it's definitely not down to him why we were losing, but he's gone, and now we've gone 3 on the trot.
Yeah,
100%. It was his fault we were losing. He was. I'm waiting to see him. Actually, I don't want to talk about it too much, but I'm looking forward to seeing him get out there for Auckland, just to see how he goes. But yeah, I'm not talking about that. No, I don't. There was a lot of other teams he could have gone to, but we won't get into that. See, now we'll just add it to the highlight reel of the horrible things Brad said, shall we? It's Roger's fault. It's Roger's fault. I guess when we're talking about it, we'll move on from that actual game. And what's your thoughts on the season in a whole? Obviously, we've just come off a massive losing streak, but started to get some wins back together. Where do you think that the so Simon said who's Roger that we keep talking about? Come on, Simon. I think are the Warriors where you thought they'd be before the season started at this point now, or are they below where you thought they were going to be?
They're below. And we did a bit of a review a couple of weeks ago just on the season so far. And, there's 5 games that we played this year that we lost by, 6 points or less. 3 of those were 1-point losses. One against the Manly, which was kind of at the death. One, the Cowboys were leading by 8, and we ended up losing by 1. The Dragons game, again, we were in front, and we ended up losing. So even those 3 wins puts us up in that mix for in 7th, 7th, 8th, which is where I kind of expected that we'd be. We're not where I thought we would be, but it's great to see that they haven't, with that run of 7 or 8 losses in a row. It's very hard to, winning becomes a culture and losing becomes a culture too, and it's very hard to turn that around when you're going in that losing vein. So for them to have turned that around and get 3 wins on the trot, and people say, oh yeah, but who have they beaten? They've beaten the Bulldogs and the Tigers and the Cronulla side without Sean Johnson. But I mean, you can only play the teams that are in front of you,
100%.
They're giving themselves a chance. Will we play finals footy? It's highly unlikely. But we can dream, and if they just need to keep taking it 1 week at a time, we'll see where they'll be. But in answer to your question, for me, no, I thought we would have been certainties for that, like at least 7th or 8th at this stage of the season.
I remember those close losses you talked about just then. I remember them pretty well, Mark. I've still got the sellotape holding my remote control together as a reminder.
That
Try being
Yeah.
alive, bro.
That was so hard to pop.
I was throwing them I was throwing it at the wall.
I think in
Yeah.
the start of the season, I probably had us
Rob-
as a top 4 chance, bottom of the 4, probably at best. But then, obviously injuries played their part. We've been absolutely decimated with injuries throughout the season. We haven't been able to get any cohesion, get any combinations going, and that's been a big factor as well. Like different halves almost every week, and we're starting to settle on that a little bit now. And we've picked up a few wins. But yeah, no, definitely below where I thought we could be, and we're a shot of making the 8. So we'll see. But just got to keep winning.
Yeah,
Rob
we-
has this
on our-
uncanny knack of. I was going to say, Rob has this uncanny knack of when I'm at games live or when we're watching them from home, and it's a close game. Rob has this uncanny knack of being able to pick what's going to happen. So at the Manly game in round 5, I was sitting there, and Rob messages me and goes, "I can see what's going to happen here. Manly are going to get level, and then DCE is going to kick a field goal," and it happened. And then in the Cowboys game, we're watching, and he goes, "I can see exactly what's going to happen here. We're going to blow this lead, and then Valentine Holmes is going to kick a field goal." And it happened. So when we're watching games now,
Corey
he's
Norman one as well. I
he's
don't
under
like
strict
being
instruction
Nostradamus.
how he
I'm telling you, I hate knowing what's going to happen, but sometimes you just know.
So how much have you made on the TAB? I mean, come on, this is
I
this is a great
should be using this bit more to my advantage, shouldn't I?
Yeah, and Christian said as well, if we won those close games, we would have been around 6th to 8th. And he said injuries haven't helped and a lot of changes each week. I think that's been the biggest problem is not being able to field the same 17 week in, week out. You can't really expect a team to build momentum when it's a different team every week. And I had them in my season preview that I wrote. I had them at 6th by the end of the final round. So yeah, they're below what I expected as well. But the fact that they still are technically in the running to make the playoffs makes it exciting as a Warriors fan, as a person who hosts a show and a person who writes about the Warriors. So that's a bonus. The odds of them making it, I still think are very slim, but the fact that there is something to kind of grab onto, at least you're not sitting there just counting down till next year. So
yeah, even if we get level on those points for like to finish 8th, I think there's going to be a log jam of maybe 4 or 5 teams on the same points. The thing that's going to hurt us is the for and against. We like on the weekend, we probably needed to put another 20 points on to kind of get that for and against below 100 to give us a shot of maybe something happening, because I can't see. I mean, the next 3 games we've got the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Titans, and I can't see blowout scores in any of those games if we win. I see them as close, something 10 points or under. So I think it's going to be the for and against. If we do manage to win these next 3 games, it's going to be the for and against that determines whether we play finals footy, and I just can't see it happening this season, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'll segue that into how confident or unconfident are you in the Warriors in 2022? It's that cliche. It's our year.
Every year, it's our year.
Yeah.
But trying to take those tinted glasses off for a second. Are you more confident going into 2022 after this season, or less?
I'm more confident, mainly because of the mid-season purchases that we've picked up in Reece Walsh getting a full preseason in with the Warriors, Dallin, Watene-Zelezniak, and Matt Lodge. I think are 3 really good purchases for the Warriors. And then you add to that Sean Johnson coming back, and so long as the fans realise we're not going to get highlight reel Sean Johnson, we're going to get game manager Sean Johnson. I'm very excited for next season. I suppose probably the biggest unknown is where will they be based again? How are they going to go through preseason? You've got a couple of these Aussie-based guys that have never lived in New Zealand, never played at Mount Smart Stadium. So that's something to consider too, how they're going to go when they're living away from their family and friends if they happen to have to move back to New Zealand. So there's a couple of unknowns there, but roster-wise, I think we're building towards something pretty big.
Yeah, and I see. I was going to say, Simon has put a comment in, just saying if we have to be based in Australia again, they should be based on the Central Coast or Queensland. It would be a better place. I don't want them to be based in Australia. I'm sick of you guys hogging them all the time. I want to go to games again. I'm selfish, but it has to happen. I want games.
If they are based here, the Central Coast is and there's no like lockdowns within Australia, and the teams can travel like they did up until round 12 or 13 or whatever it was. The Central Coast is probably better because of the 9 teams based in Sydney. Plus, you got Canberra just down the road, and you've got Newcastle just up the road. It's kind of it's kind of easy for them in regards to travel to the away games. But I mean, it all depends. What happens. It's weird, isn't it, that we're talking about this again after a couple of weeks back. They were coming home to play a home game. There was no lockdowns. It looked like we're getting a grip on this COVID thing, and all of a sudden here in Australia, it's just ridiculously flared up again.
Yeah. I don't know what you Australians are doing. Honestly, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to keep COVID contained. We've been COVID free for about 10 years now over in New Zealand, and we can do everything. I can go outside and knock on my neighbor's door and say hello, and just be better people. Come on, just think of it. Think about Brad here. Brad wants football.
You talk to your neighbours. Wow.
Come on.
No,
Sydney.
I don't. But
okay, a couple of questions from the English League wrap-up page. First up from Nicholas. For all you guys, why do you love rugby league so much? And let's start with Brad.
Start with me. Oh shit. And
now we can do Richie because we've answered that one.
No, do you want me to actually answer it now? My nana and granddad were always big leagueies. They would do those tours with the Kiwis when they went up to the UK, and you pay and go on a tour. I think they did a few with Mad Butcher back before I was even around or just a little toddler. And it was just, I always remember the weekend sitting there watching league with my granddad, and it kind of just always stuck. I moved out into the country where we weren't even allowed to talk about rugby league at our high school, which kind of made the love for rugby league grow a bit more. Going to first 15 training, wearing a Warriors jersey, and things like that. And I think that at that age as well, that was when the Warriors, you had that rich vein of form the first time they got to the grand final and stuff. I was just a young teenager, so that was the big focus. And then, unfortunately, since then, it's just been a complete 100% dedication in my life, as sad as that may sound to any loved ones that are watching.
So, Richie, can we have your life story too, please?
Yeah, absolutely. And before I do mine, any of Brad's family watching that they know anyway, I'm sure he skipped a birthday of yours somewhere down the line to go to a game. Yeah, he's nodding. So for me, I'm going to out myself a little bit if I tell my story. So, much like Brad, I started watching league at a young age, and I remember probably being 5 years old with a Cronulla Sharks t-shirt, watching the great ET and loving watching him play and guys like that. This was pre-Warriors, I'll let it be known. And then the Warriors came along, and it just became an institution in my household. I remember watching the first game with my old man, and I just pretty much from there on in, I go into intermediate school, I would run around on the field, chipping the ball, self-commentating, pretending to be Gene Namu and things like that. And yeah, like Brad said, it just becomes an obsession after a while. And then a little bit down the line, I managed to meet up with Brad. We were working together, and from there on, we just started getting season tickets together and not missing a game. And it was, a lot of great memories.
Until you left me, but it's cool. It's fine.
Yeah. I moved to Wellington, so
yeah. In your defence, they haven't played a game in New Zealand since you moved to Wellington, so you haven't really missed a game yet.
Not yet.
So, Roo, how did you fall in love with the game?
I've got the most bizarre story about how I came to loving rugby league. I had an American mate when I was in grade 7 who started collecting the cards. I had no interest in sports really before that, and so because he did it, I started collecting the cards, and I sort of got interested in it through, the cards with the bubble gum in the packet you used to get. And so I started, obviously being from Brisbane, started following the Broncos by default. This was 1993, so a couple of years before the Warriors. And so I jumped on the Broncos bandwagon, and they won a couple of premierships. And then when the Warriors came along in 95, they just won me over. Like that first game, just watching that, I'll never forget it, because the Broncos played the Warriors in the first game, obviously, and just the occasion, and it was just such an intimidating atmosphere that they ran out into. And so I've been a Warriors fan ever since then, and played a little bit, and just love watching the game, love the physicality of the game, and so that's how it all started for me, funnily enough.
So were you there throwing a wooden spoon yet at the end of last season?
No.
Sorry, Hammer, go.
No, thankfully he jumped off the Broncos bandwagon a long time before they had their fall from grace. And what about you, Mark?
Mate, my earliest memories are of my dad playing. My dad's Māori, grew up over in New Zealand, moved over to Australia, and was playing lower grades with the North Sydney Bears back in the early 70s. And my earliest memories are going to the footy, watching my dad play, and then from there I played, and it just became a love of the game. We were raised to support New Zealand and anyone playing Australia, and we always followed the Bears, and then when the Warriors came in, it was just a natural fit to follow the team of the country that I was always instructed and embraced as my own country, even though I wasn't born there and I've never lived there. It's all about the culture and my ties back to New Zealand. But rugby league for me has always been a passion. I played, I coached, and when I couldn't do either of those, I was an administrator of a junior rugby league club, giving back to grassroots, and then from there fell into this. So it's been the constant through my life since I was about 2 or 3 years old. And, I absolutely love it.
Very cool.
So TK's been active in the chat. He said Hiku was an absolute monster, but his question is, who is the worst commentator covering a Warriors game? Siali throws in Steve Roach's name.
Yeah, Blocker.
Roach.
Yeah, I'll agree. It's Blocker.
For some reason, he always gets our games, doesn't he? We reckon he puts in a request every week to call our games.
Yeah, he's very frustrating.
That's intentional.
He's frustrating. Watching him, you don't get to watch a lot of the games, Paul. But Blocker, the Warriors will run the length of the field and score a try and be 40 points up, and then Blocker will say they've got to watch out because the other team's coming back. And he always comments about how tired the Warriors are. They're always tired.
Yeah.
Things like that. You can kind of do Blocker bingo and get all the cliches that he pulls out. But for me, he's probably the worst.
100%.
You could play a really dangerous. You could play a really dangerous drinking game watching the Warriors, and that's just take a shot anytime somebody goes on Facebook and says F Blocker Roach. You wouldn't make it out.
Wouldn't make it out alive. So Ali, so a bit of a serious one here. Do the Warriors have any New Zealand halfback standoff talent that's on the radar for the future?
I imagine they would.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a Mark question. So
I'm just going to say I imagine they would, based on the fact that we had Stacey talking to us on Saturday morning. Basically, say he was on his way to watch a couple of the development sides play. So I dare say we've got a couple of guys coming through development, but I wouldn't know their names and I wouldn't know who they are at this stage. But I can imagine there's obviously somebody there that they're talking about or looking at.
Yep.
Yes, yeah. And I had vindication. Mike agreed that RTS was an anchor. Thank you, Mike.
Mike's also throwing a "it's coming home" in the chat. So thanks, Mike, showing faith.
We've also got a good one from Simon as well, Paul, talking about league memories. Simon said watching Mal Meninga when he was 5 and his dad taking him to the Bay Plenty stag matches down on the airport side of Rotorua. I remember as a youngster telling everyone that Mal Meninga was related to me, saying that his first name was Melman and his last name was Inga, and didn't last long. But that was those young times. Kids like to tell stories. So
you had a very similar skill set, I seem to recall, Brad, watching you play.
Very similar. If he wasn't as old as he was, I'd say he was copying me. Sonny copied me, so it's not bad. He did okay.
Yeah, you do have some.
There's another awful commentator.
Tributes.
Sonny Bill, he's trying. He's trying.
Oh man, he's shocking as a commentator.
Yeah, he's on Channel 9 over here. Yeah.
He's been doing some stuff for Union as well, and Sally, we're going to have to get. Says that Roo, you've got to do as a video of your Warriors collection, of your Warriors jersey collection that we can put up, because apparently that's an impressive collection. So we need to, or perhaps guys, you should all lay out your jerseys, take some photos, and have a competition is who's got the most jerseys.
Charlie Russ. Charlie Russ.
Yeah, Charlie. Charlie's got a house full of them.
He's hooked me up with plenty, yeah. So I owe a lot to Charlie, the Jersey King. Yep.
Charlie never hooks me up. I don't get it, but it's cool.
I saw photos of his collection. I thought it was a shop.
Yeah, it looks like a shop. It's crazy.
There's so many of his are match worn as well.
Yeah,
so a lot of the match worn is crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Mm.
Yeah.
A couple about TV over in Australia. Nicholas, just one. Yeah. Nicholas again says, despite the number of Kiwis in Australia, the Warriors never seem to be on free to air. Do you think that you'll get a few more free to air ones if the Warriors do better? And also Simon asking, has the Channel 9 show shown a Warriors game recently?
Well, we had the Sharks game a few weeks ago, and we've got one this Sunday. Yeah, this Sunday against the Broncos on Channel 9. But it's because we're playing the Broncos, though. They're
playing the Broncos,
Yeah, that's it. We always seem, if we get one game a year, it'll be against a high-rating team like the Broncos or Parramatta or someone like that. Yeah, it purely comes down to ratings, and we just clearly don't rate as well as some of the other sides, according to Channel 9. So is what it is.
Yeah.
Siley's got the best comment so far. Amazing production for this podcast. Absolutely, totally agree with
you. Well done, Paul.
Well done, Paul.
Outstanding.
Brilliant job as always.
That kind of, to show off my talent, that segues me into another question. Talking about I can do this, Paul. I have talent. What's it like being a Warriors fan based in Australia? Because obviously we kind of used to being Warriors fans from New Zealand, but we don't get to talk to a lot of guys that are based solely in Australia. So what's it like being a fan over there of our poor little New Zealand team?
You make yourself an easy target. Yeah.
It's tough because we don't get fair and equal share of any of the media stuff. So, is he frozen?
Who?
Have I frozen?
No, you're talking.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, sorry, I thought I'd frozen. Yeah, you don't get any fair media coverage in the like on the shows on like Fox League Channel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They don't really. If the Warriors win, it's never a good performance by the Warriors. It's a poor performance by Cronulla or a poor performance by the Bulldogs. So yeah, it's tough. We're always, for me personally, I've never actually watched a game at Mount Smart Stadium, so I'm always an away supporter. So the last year and a half has been a bit odd, especially this year where we kind of formed a section of the crowd became home fans, and we had buses coming up from Sydney, and we'd stack the stands full of Warriors supporters. We actually got a feel of what it like, a small feel of what it's like to be a home supporter. But yeah, we don't get a lot of kudos from any of the commentators or anything like that. That's probably the hardest part. That and the fact that we always seem to be on the wrong end of the 50-50 calls from the referees, and that's always a hard one to handle.
Yeah, I think for me, it's even weirder for me because everyone just assumes that I'm Kiwi, and everyone just come up to me and talk about like I know it's I'm the exception to the rule. Of just the Warriors are just my team. So there's that element, and yeah, like you're an easy target. Like everyone just goes, "Oh, your Warriors are hopeless." Yeah, every week just, "Oh, your Warriors are terrible." But what you find is when the Warriors start playing well, like people here get behind them. Like in the 2011 Grand Final, people were more prepared to support us than Manly. So like people always say, "Oh, I love watching the Warriors play," and they say like when the Warriors are doing their thing, when we've got the ball singing and scoring some fantastic tries, Sean Johnson's producing a bit of magic. Like, oh, I love watching the Warriors play. As soon as we start losing, everyone's cold.
Yeah.
So they jump on the bandwagon. Yeah.
We get the same type of stick over the year as well, to be honest.
Yeah, it's tough enough here.
But yeah, it's been really good seeing all the fans get behind them over there. Obviously, with having to play all the games there, it's still not the same as having a game at Mount Smart, obviously. But I would feel a lot worse if there weren't fans bothering to go. Because they can see them every week now. We'll just pick and choose. There's actually you guys, Warrior Nation, everyone getting together and getting people to the games, which I think it's really good, especially when the boys are feeling a bit homesick and missing playing at home. It kind of gives them a little bit of a boost.
I see.
That's probably been the biggest thing I've taken from it, especially this year. Is that we're getting comments from the players themselves after games. Roger himself, Chanel, Jazz, the guys that I would talk to quite regularly after games were always so appreciative of the fact that they had a section of the stands, like 3 whole bays of the stands there at Central Coast, supporting the Warriors. And for those that don't, like in New Zealand, that aren't aware, the Central Coast is actually about an hour and 20 minutes from Sydney. So they're not actually based in Sydney. So even everyone from Sydney has to travel about an hour and 20 minutes to go to the game. Anyone from Newcastle has to travel an hour down. So it's not the ideal location to go and watch a game of footy. So the fact that they're aware that people are actually getting on buses and traveling, especially on a 6 o'clock game on a Friday, and we've got 3 bays sold out for a 6 o'clock game where people have left work early to get up the highway to go and watch the boys play, that they've really appreciated it, and the club staff have really appreciated it. And that's probably the thing I've taken the most from this year is, to be able to be a part of that and, give them that little bit of support while they are away from home is been great.
Yeah, definitely. It's just I'm still counting down. I was really looking forward to that game yesterday being here, but it is what it is. And yeah, hopefully they get to have a few games, even if they can organise it similar to what they ideally wanted this year, where they were going to break it into blocks. But you just can't predict what's going on right now, as you guys know, being over in Australia.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
The flip side there, Brad, is we've got some Aussie fans online saying, how much media coverage do the Warriors get in Auckland and around the rest of New Zealand in general? So, Brad and Richie, what's it like being a Warriors fan in New Zealand?
Oh, well, I write about them every week, and I do a show every week. So that's some media. It's actually surprisingly, maybe for you guys, Mark and Rob, it's actually very similar here. If the Warriors win, you might get a 2-minute clip on the news. If the Warriors lose, you might get a 10-second, and the Warriors lost. It all depends. When they're doing well, like when they're heading towards grand finals, they're all anyone talks about. But yeah, you usually get a couple of articles on the New Zealand Herald and things like that, covering them, but it's generally never that great. If New Zealand Herald ever find this, if you want someone that will actually do a good job, I'm here. But
do you guys get any of the Aussie shows over there? Like, we've got the Fox League channel here in Australia with like NRL 360 and stuff like that. Do you get those shows over there?
Yeah,
we do. Yeah, we get 360. Matty Johns' show. You get not all of the shows you guys have, but the main big ones that Fox have, like the wrap up shows and that. But you see like you guys said, it's a couple of minutes, and it's like Warriors bet the Sharks, or geez, how bad are these Sharks right now? Type scenario. It's very hard to get good feedback, but we've been used to that.
It's normally results based, though, isn't it? Like if we're going well, then we'll get a bit of coverage. If we're not going so well, not a lot unless they're putting the boot in. But we do get all those NRL 360. So you see when people like Paul Kent are putting the boot in, like when Roger announced he was leaving and whatnot.
Yeah.
Mark says, the Herald hates us. They put us behind a paywall. But Nicholas says, look, that's what for all we say that they might get good mainstream media coverage. Look, the Facebook groups are massive, and they get good crowds at Mount Smart. So it's more an underground thing over here, maybe than mainstream thing. But it's got a big following still. It owns South Africa.
Yeah, it's got a huge fan following that the media aren't covering. But you see, like, we've got our show, you got Runehammer, we've got Warriors Fanatics, Hold the Ball. There's a guy, Fonzie, that does a podcast in Australia. Will Evans does This Warriors Life. There's a lot of guys that are taking it on themselves to kind of get people talking about the Warriors. And like in our case, we cover all of the league as well. But it's good to see if you're not getting people telling you about the Warriors, that people are actually making it their own decision to go and start talking about it.
I'll be blunt. When I lived in up in Auckland, I would see more Warriors jerseys being worn around malls and stuff than you will, and you'll very rarely see a Union, or you'll see the occasional All Blacks jersey. Never see a Blues jersey, never see an Auckland jersey, but you'll see Warriors jerseys walking around. So it's definitely
okay.
Yeah,
Blues players don't want to wear their jerseys, so I don't see why their fans would. But the Warriors jerseys, I know they get a lot of stick over here and probably in Australia too for having 20 jerseys a year. But they always make, there's a couple of bad ones every now and then, but they always make good looking ones. So that's why you see them, because people like what they look like. So you're going to wear it.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one on here tonight that likes the Bushman jersey.
Yep.
But I have got one, but I don't wear it in public. I think I've worn it once. There's always good ones.
Oh, Brad,
I think
drop the camera and go put it on.
We got to see it.
No,
come on.
It's not in this.
I grew up with one. I think I grew up with one, but it was a picnic blanket.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's Brad's pajamas.
We've got a good question for the Aussies while you're getting changed.
No, it's not happening.
So do you think the Central Coast could actually support its own NRL team?
No. Yes, but no. It's got a great junior league district and what have you, but because of its location in close proximity to like 9 Sydney-based teams and a Newcastle-based team, I think its location is what goes against it. There was always quite a few years, they're always trying to bring the Bears back as the Central Coast Bears up there. But there's other areas within the rugby league landscape that would be better suited for an expansion side. And I just think with Newcastle being where it is and 9 Sydney teams being where they are, I think it's just past, the Central Coast will always be passed over.
Yeah.
Question for you, Brad. Were you more a meter eater or were you more a tackler as a prop?
Neither.
Neither. Yeah.
He was an offloader.
I was all about trying to introduce second phase football into the game. You leave the meter eating to the meathead props, and the tackling kind of goes with them as well. The ones that don't have the brains, they just go out there and throw their buddy on the line. I was too pretty and too smart for that, so try to avoid contact and look flash at the same time for everyone watching.
I thought you might have been like a Todd Payton.
I was going to say, how would you rate me, mate? Because I started out as a back and ended up as a front rower when I retired at 33. Do I pass as a front row forward for you?
Yeah, exactly. That's a Ruben Wiki.
Yeah, you end up in the best position. You may as well claim that position forever.
Okay.
No one cares about the backs. They get all the big money, but it's whenever a team goes wrong, you're always blaming the forwards. So they're the most important. I do it all the time. I complain until we got these fantastic props that we have at the moment. I always complained about the prop rotation not getting enough meters. So in all seriousness, I think it's a lot more important a position than all the crap that commentators love to give them. But yeah, extremely biased as a former front rower.
I agree. It lays the platform, doesn't it, for everything else that happens in the game. If your forwards aren't going forward, you're not going to have a halfback, or your halves aren't going to be able to play, at the line or through the line. So yeah, they're massively important.
That was always the excuse for Sean Johnson all those years. They're saying he's playing behind a forward pack that was going backwards. So yeah.
Yeah. You go. I'll let you say what Mike said there, Richie.
Okay, so Mike's in the chat saying, "What are your thoughts on Peter Hiku statue outside of Mount Smart?" Now, I'll probably need to explain this one a little. So, Mike's an admin on a Warriors page on Facebook called New Zealand Warriors Faither. We have a bit of a man crush on Peter Hiku, and we gave him a nickname, the Bakery, because of all the meat pies he feeds to his wingers. So there's a bit of a backstory. Nice to see you watching, Mike. I would love a Peter Hiku statue outside of Mount Smart, but we're biased.
I think there's a few more players in front of him that would get it. But
he'd be down the pecking order a bit, but
a little bit, yeah.
But I'll put it out there. It's Reece Walsh will get the first one.
Walsh.
That was part of the contract for him signing with us early. That he'd get a statue in his honour outside of Mount Smart. I think he's in line for becoming Prime Minister by the end of his run with us as well.
Surely we can get the same guy that did the Cameron Smith statue that doesn't look like Cameron Smith, and you can do insert name at the bottom, and it can be basically for anyone.
Just anyone.
Generic statue.
Or we have stars like Hollywood Walk of Fame in the footpath. It's cheaper than doing statues.
That would be
and Christian said Simon Mannering. I think he's an ideal guy, but I think he's probably one of the guys that would say no, because Simon's very anti-praise. As we saw in his final game at Mount Smart, he didn't want anything special and was a bit miffed when they painted that mural there as well. But yeah, you got guys like Stacey and Simon, I think, at the top two.
I think it's probably now a good time for a bit of a highlights reel from some of our favourite shows over the last 50 shows. Don't you think, Richie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's run that.
Yeah, run it.
All right.
Yep.
Tyson Gamble with a high tackle and
Jordan
Ricky with the headbutt. What did you think?
So the headbutt, I think, was a bit soft. But by the letter of the new rules, the refs had the right to do what they did. Tyson Gamble's one I thought was a bit harsh as well. Yeah, back to the Jazz thing. I don't think it was sin bin worthy, but don't put me in this situation where I have to sit there and defend a forward because I'm always going to do it.
I'd like to paint you as this thug, Brad.
I think there was nothing in it.
Shouldn't be allowed to be replaced if they're suspended. Oh, geez, I'm amazed. I'm flabbergasted.
Well, I don't think any of them should have been suspended anyway. But but the fact that they and it looks like his season could be over because he needs some surgery on his face, and horrible accident, horrible to watch. I only watched it like 5 or 10 times. First one was a sin bin. He threw a punch. It was, if you can call it a punch, it was a bit of a he did a ton of and hit him with a handbag. So silly. Flash it up again if you want, Paul. But if a punch is a sin bin. If you're gonna get sin bin for a punch, make it count. Hit him on the jaw or something. I thought it was a weak attempt and he got sin bin. The second sin binning, though, I don't think was a sin bin. They really came fighting. Jared Warrior-Hargraves got sin binned in a call that I thought was a bit tough. But I think Matt Burton was really the difference in this game.
And RP Codicil too, ending up with a suspension out of this game. Hate to keep inviting the thug life thing popping up, but what do you think of that? Because it didn't look like a lot either.
No, I didn't think there was anything in it. We can move on. But yeah.
See, back to the question: was Brad a meter eater or a defensive guy? that tells you all you need to know about what type of player he was.
King of the fish hook.
He was a grub.
Yeah. Thank you, Vicky, for nice comments after I've just been besmirched on the show. It's all taken out of context. For the viewers that watch us on Wednesday, there was actually a couple of penalties and sin bins I did agree with. So just putting that out there, I thought there were some that were valid. There were some that weren't as well. But so tune in on Wednesday to see that, because I will prove that I'm not the thug that you're all painting me as. That headbutt one, I don't remember. I thought that was... I think, wasn't the headbutt one when Josh Curran got sin-binned for the head clash? I can't remember.
That Melbourne? Was that the Melbourne game?
It was Jordan Ricky.
Or was it someone else? There's so many.
From what I recall, it wasn't that bad, Brad. There may have been some selective editing there to make you look
I think
worse
so.
than what you actually are.
I go by the golden rule: is there's no such thing as a high tackle, but it's changing nowadays. Though I did like that Trent Barrett was trying to be the new Brad for the Bulldogs Warriors game, saying that there was no contact to the head from Kossi, because I saw it, and if I can see it, it's there. So
here's an interesting one though, Brad. He didn't get charged.
Yeah,
that
I saw Phil Goulds
it's
quickly
strange.
turned on us, and was out there defending the Bulldogs as quick as you like.
Funny that. Yeah.
We're that X he refuses to talk about now, except for in bad tones, which it hurt a bit. It hurt me seeing that, but yeah. It's. I suppose you guys will probably talk about it on your show as well. That one he didn't get charged, but then in the Broncos Roosters, is Radley getting charged? I think Radley was getting charged for his charge down that wasn't a penalty during the game. So it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the NRL are doing at the time. I'm happy to talk to Graham if he wants some feedback, but he doesn't return my calls.
I'm actually quite amazed at how many Broncos fans on Facebook were eating that up too, and saying, how did they take a try off us? I mean, maybe we're all a bit biased, but watching that, I was amazed he didn't get sent to the sin bin.
I thought it was a sin bin. Where's the unthug, Paul? Come on.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, judging by the rules, contact to the head was a sin bin. That's what they've been telling us, and there was contact to the head. It's shocking, but
Yeah.
I don't know. You kind of deflated me with that video, Richie.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
We've been going for like an hour now, so we may as well wrap it up. Is there anything else you guys want to cover before we sign off?
No, I just want to congratulate you boys on your 50th episode. Something we achieved a couple of weeks back, and in this world of social media and so forth, it's a big deal. You got a little, we've got these shows that we're putting out there for fans to watch, and fans are engaging in them, and it's a big thing for you guys to achieve that 50th show, and we just want to send you our congratulations, and we feel honoured and pretty privileged to be able to share the screen with you tonight as you celebrate, and we both look forward to collabing with you guys a little bit more in the future, moving forward.
Definitely, and massive thank you to both of you for joining us tonight. And
thanks, guys.
Before we go, if you want to remind everyone about when your shows are and everything, so they can tune in and see you guys too.
Yeah, we're live on Wednesday nights, 7:30 on Facebook. You can catch us on Facebook, Roo Hammer. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and all the podcast platforms as well.
And that's 7:30 Australian time for our New Zealand guys.
7:30, 7:30 Australian time. Yep, so 9.
And there's only one Australian time, obviously, it's East Coast time, right? There's none of this West Australia time business.
No, not until we're going to daylight saving come in end of October. So
it's around grand final weekend, and then Rob and I go on different time zones as well. But which really doesn't matter. I don't think time is actually working here in New South Wales at the moment. I think everything's kind of just stopped. The sun comes up and it goes down, I'm told. I don't see it much, and I get my essential exercise walking from room to room. And as you can see, the beard is just out of control at the moment.
Looking good.
I told everyone I'm starting to look like James Tarmo, which not a good thing.
See, and I wish I had the COVID excuse for what's going on here. I just don't shave anymore. I gave up on life with that, so I just let it go.
Yeah.
That's to stop all the ladies hitting on you because of your baby face good looks, Brad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah. That'd be it.
Yeah. So thank you guys again. Is there anything you want to add to it, Richie, before we go?
Oh, hey, just thanks to you guys for joining us tonight, and keep up the great work on your show. Like they said, they're on 7:30 Aussie time, 9:30 NZ time, so our show flows nicely into theirs. Wednesday night's pretty good to get like 3 or 4 or 5 hours of Warriors and league talk and then go to sleep. Nothing better than that. And
nothing wrong with that.
Thanks
it
to
always depends how long we ramble for, I guess.
Yeah, Brad's a bit of a rambler, but that's a good thing. And thanks to all the people that tuned in and threw comments our way. It's yeah, as always, you guys make the show what it is and give us something to talk about. So yeah, thanks everybody.
We've got Jermaine just commented as well, saying thanks for your great work. Always good listening to your content. Yeah, thanks, Jermaine. And reminder that we're going to be back here on Wednesday at 8 p.m. New Zealand time, like normal, for our round recap. And I'll spoil it now. I got every game right in the tips, which means I'm back ahead in the tipping comp with Richie, where I should be. So there'll be a bit of bragging about that on Wednesday. So remember to tune in for your weekly update on rugby league on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Here on Facebook or at your convenience on iHeartRadio. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. And thanks everyone again, and good night.